In today's video, we're talking fitness do's and don'ts. Welcome to the video, guys. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help people take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness and nutrition habits so that ultimately we can lead healthier and happier lives. So if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and turning those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post a new video. And if you are returning, welcome back. I am so glad that you are here. You guys might be wondering, Tyler, why are you wearing a cutoff next to a Christmas tree? Those two things do not go together, and I would totally agree with you. However, I'm not in Boston right now. I'm visiting my parents down in Florida. It's 80 degrees out, sun's out, guns out, so why not wear a cutoff, right? Fun fact, I actually filmed this video in its entirety once this morning. However, this is the first time I've been using my new camera, and when I went to transfer files from the SD cards to my Mac, it wasn't working, so I searched a YouTube video and it said I needed to reformat the disk, and when I tried doing that, it erased all of my files, so unfortunately, here I am, take two. But enough about me, let's talk about you guys. It's 2021, and everybody knows what that means. Gyms are gonna get packed, people are gonna start eating healthier again, everybody sets up this sort of like fitness and nutrition goal for 2021, and a lot of times people don't stick with them. They go through January, they might stick to their goals, but usually they burn themselves out because they don't know how to create sustainable fitness goals. So what I figured I would do today is go through and share some fitness do's and don'ts for 2021, so whatever your goals may be, hopefully these tips will help you achieve them. So with that, let's get into it. Number one is going to be set realistic goals. So we don't want to set ourselves up for failure right out of the gate. So pick a goal that you know is achievable or slightly out of reach. Don't pick something that's like so crazy that you're definitely not going to achieve, because that's just going to make you unmotivated and you're not going to want to stick with that goal over the long term. If you're a newbie, start small, right? There's nothing wrong with going to the gym 2 or 3 days a week and just sort of easing into things. And it's the same thing if you took some time off from fitness in 2020 because everything was so crazy and we've had a year that we never could have anticipated. If you're returning back to fitness, go into things gradually. Don't just try to jump back into where you were before. Another sub tip that I have for this sort of category is to focus on creating goals that are based on consistency rather than results, because consistency you can control, results you cannot. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say you initially had a goal of I want to lose 10 pounds. That's great, but that's a result-driven goal. How about instead we reframe that and we think about, okay, this month I'm gonna eat in a calorie deficit for 80% of those days. So you're focusing on the consistency, right? What you could do is maybe go get a calendar. Each day you're in a calorie deficit, you can put a check mark, and then each day that you're not, you put an X, total them up at the end, see if you hit that 80% goal. Focus on being consistent, and oftentimes that's gonna translate to the results. Another example of that, let's say instead of nutrition, we want to do fitness. Let's say you want to add 10 to 15 pounds on one of your lifts. Rather than focusing on the 10 or 15 pounds, why don't you say, okay, I'm going to hit that lift every single week, 2 times a week for the next 10 weeks. Like, focus on being consistent, because again, you can control that and oftentimes the results will follow. But if you just focus on the results and it's out of your control, and if you don't necessarily reach that goal, you're not going to be that happy. And again, you're going to be unmotivated and not want to continue with it. Number 2 is going to be engage in resistance training and use progressive overload. So it's 2021. If you're just doing cardio by now, I hate to break it to you, but you are missing out on so many great benefits of lifting. So down in the description box, I'll post 2 links. One is to a meta-analysis done by Schoenfeld and colleagues that showed all of these awesome benefits, and another one is talking about how resistance training is actually medicine. Focusing on only cardio, there's nothing wrong with that per se. I mean, increasing your cardiovascular health obviously is important, but a lot of the physique changes that you're going to want to see for like these New Year's goals, that's going to come from resistance training and adding muscle to your body and losing fat. What I would recommend for most people is doing some sort of combination of both. So let's say you can only make it to the gym 3 days a week. What I would say is maybe spend 30 or 40 minutes lifting and then 30 to 20 minutes doing cardio, depending on what sort of split you want to end up doing. But I would definitely recommend doing both for 2021. Number 3, no matter what your fitness goal is, I'm going to say track your progress. So if you're lifting oriented and you want to track progress that way, I would highly recommend an app called Strong Workout Tracker. I'll put a little screenshot of that up here. That's what I use for myself and with clients, and each client feedback that I get, they tell me how life-changing this app is. So seriously, go check that out right now if you haven't. But if you're old school, feel free to carry a notebook around, pen and paper, that will do the trick too. You got to make sure you're tracking from week to week, because how else are you going to know to beat yourself from the previous week if you don't know what you did the previous week? Part of tracking our progress also means that we need to remember that some progress is better than no progress at all. So let's say you only added an extra rep that week, or let's say you only lost 0.2 pounds instead of your goal of, let's say 0.5 pounds. Some progress is better than no progress at all. So when you have those, celebrate the small victories. You're headed in the right direction. Again, don't focus so much on that end result, but focus on your consistency. Number 4 is going to be one that's pretty obvious, but it's going to serve as a friendly reminder that you need to do it. Eat your fruits and vegetables and focus on drinking water. What I recommend is eating fruits and vegetables that you enjoy eating. If you hate asparagus, there's no sense in trying to choke that down, because you're not going to enjoy it and you're going to end up hating asparagus even more than you did in the first place. It's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be sustainable. So find fruits and vegetables that you enjoy eating. And if you're saying, Tyler, I don't enjoy any of those, well, maybe it's time to learn some new cooking methods. Try something on the grill or the air fryer, or maybe play around with different seasonings and see if you can make some vegetables palatable for you. If you don't really enjoy eating fruits, maybe do frozen fruits and just throw them in a smoothie or something. But eating your fruits and vegetables is going to be exponentially better than taking some sort of multivitamin or like green supplement. Number 5 is going to be increase your protein intake. Most people don't eat enough protein even though they think they are. So what I recommend is getting 0.8 grams to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. A lot of people don't even get half of that. So if you're going to be engaging in resistance training and you're not eating enough protein, you're not giving your body the right building blocks to actually build that muscle. So it doesn't matter how good your training plan is, you're not going to get the results that you want if you're not optimizing your diet. And the last one, number 6, that's gonna be increase your sleep quality and quantity. Sleep is the best free supplement that nobody wants to take, so stop scrolling on your phone before bed and stop staying up to watch that one extra episode of whatever Netflix show you're currently binging. Get some extra sleep, do whatever you need to get better quality sleep. I don't know if that's blackout curtains or a sleeping mask or earplugs, whatever it may be. Sleep is super important, so definitely focus on that. So that covers all the things that we should be focusing on for our goals in 2021, but with that, let's transition over to some of the fitness don'ts. The first one is going to be don't set unrealistic goals, and this goes along with the very first point that we made in the fitness do's section. Again, I just want to remind you guys, we have to set goals that are going to be achievable. If you're trying to lose 50 pounds in a month, or if you're trying to add 20 pounds of muscle in a month, those are just not realistic goals. And again, if you don't achieve that goal, you're going to become unmotivated and not stick with it through the long term. So pick something that you know is realistic. There's nothing wrong with setting a realistic goal and then setting another goal beyond that. That's something that might be out of your comfort zone or out of your boundary, so that way you push yourself a little bit, but don't pick something that's so unrealistic that there's just absolutely no way you're going to achieve that goal. This brings me to point number 2. Don't try to lose weight too quickly. So I feel like a lot of people just right off the bat, they want to lose so much weight in the start of 2021 or the start of any year, so that way they look good for spring and summer. But I'm telling you, slow and sustainable fat loss is the way to go. I would recommend losing 0.4% to 0.8% of your body weight per week, because that's going to maximize your muscle retention, especially if you just spent a lot of 2020 putting some muscle on. You don't want to try to diet down too quickly and lose all of that hard-earned muscle. If you are severely overweight, like someone who's obese, they might be able to lose a little bit of weight faster. I'd say maybe 1 to 1.2%, but still, I'd recommend going into that range that I said before, because again, we want to hold on to as much muscle as possible. The next one is going to be, do not pick a diet that you cannot sustain for the long term. If you really enjoy eating carbs, it makes 0 sense to go keto. If you're someone who loves eating breakfast in the morning, why would you do intermittent fasting to skip breakfast? That makes no sense. Ask yourself, could I see myself eating this way for another year, 2 years, 3 years? And if the answer to that is no, then do not go on that diet. It makes 0 sense to go on that type of diet for 12 weeks, get some results, and then go right back to your previous diet that you actually enjoy eating, and then reverse all those results that you just got. It's gonna start this horrible, endless cycle of going on a diet and off a diet. So just pick something that you can sustain for the long term, and remember, calorie deficit. The next one is going to be, do not program hop and try to implement muscle confusion. So I see so many bros doing this in the gym, You should be following a sound training program and using progressive overload. Remember, we talked about in the first part of this video that we want to be tracking, right? So it doesn't make any sense to just switch up our workouts from week to week. You should be following something for 8 to 10 weeks minimum. I would say maybe upwards of 16 weeks. You probably want to implement some deloads in there, but you should be following a training program and trying to progress from week to week. That's going to get you better results than going in and trying Joe Schmo's workout from Instagram. The reason I say this is because it takes a couple of weeks to actually develop the neuromuscular adaptations to learn a movement, and then after you actually learn that movement pattern, that's when you can start progressing. So especially if you're a newbie, you should be focusing on form, following a sound training program from week to week, and after a couple of weeks, once you actually get that mind-muscle connection, that's when you can start implementing progressive overload. So this brings me to my next point, which is related through this sort of bro science stuff, is that do not chase the pump and do not chase DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness. I feel like it's a common misconception that if you have a pump in the gym or if you're really sore the next day or 2 days after, that's an indicator that it was a really good workout and that, you went super hard in the gym, which, there's nothing wrong with going super hard in the gym, but all I'm trying to say is that if you had a pump or you're sore the next day, that's not necessarily an indicator of a good workout. What you should be focusing on is volume, intensity, and frequency, because all three of those are very important variables for progressive overload. The last point I have, which could be one of the most important, so hopefully you remember this one, do not waste your money on fit teas, detox teas, tummy wraps, fat burners, fat burner cream, whatever marketing gimmick there is in 2021, do not waste your money on that. Focus on the things that we talked about in the first part of this video, and I promise you, you will have a much better 2021 in achieving your fitness and nutrition goals. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below. And again, if you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Turn those notification bells on because I post new videos every single Friday. You do not want to miss when they go live. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.